strangely, I'm going to be saying Merry Christmas again. It's actually Christmas Day, and I've blagged an hour and a half with which to come and poke that there engine. You might, from other videos, remember that car. That's the 4.5 litre, 270 horsepower Series 1. This car is the police car, Nino, and that their engine is a V8, which is going to go in Spitfire Trading's car, because it's currently a 2.6 and he wants rid of that and wants a V8. That engine I picked up, I heard it running, it's reportedly 50,000 miles, but we want to fit that engine at the NEC Classic and Restoration Show. So we want to have a look at it, give it a quick inspection, and then just see what it is and what we're missing, and then we can work out what parts we need to buy before the show. Go through it all, put it all back together, and then hopefully when it is the show, all we have to do is lift it in, bolt it in, get it fired up. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not sure how much I'm going to record because it might not be very interesting, but the first thing is to try and create a bit of space. The police car I can roll back a bit, but I can't get it out fully because there's cars blocking the door. That's a spare engine for the diesel, so that is heavy. It's on a stand and I'm not sure I can move it. That is on a wheelie tray, so once I've moved that engine, that Vitesse seat and that box of pistons, then hopefully I can wheel that out and get a bit of room around it. So that's what I shall do. I also need to put my scruffy crappy clothes on, which are in here, and my amazing Crocs. Actually, I forgot my Crocs. I instead shall be sporting some trainers. This thing has been buried for a long time, and I'd quite forgotten what bits were on it, what bits were missing. So I'm going to have to grab a pen and paper and start writing things down. But straight off, missing the carburetors and the throttle quadrant thing. Heater hose has been cut. That's one of the lifting brackets that would go there, I think, or there possibly. Missing the air box, but there's two there. That is a early round one, which is probably from this engine. That is a later oval type one or a P6 one. Dizzy cap missing. No idea if the dizzy's good or not. It was working, so it should be okay, but you never know. Water pump is seized or doesn't want to turn, which is not great. We are missing pulley, power steering bracket, manifolds, engine mounts, although there's an engine mount. Because this will now be coupled to a manual, it'll need spigot bush for there. There's something missing off the back of the inlet, not sure what that is. What else? We are missing, that's the oil light. That's the sender, I think, but that's the warning light, low oil pressure warning light, I think. The loom, that's the loom to the starter, which is there, which is good. That plugs into the car. That's the alternator plug. That would have been to that switch there. HT leads are there, but they will want replacing almost certainly. The drains for the carbs are there. That is the line that goes to the vacuum advance unit. Top hose is okay, need a bottom hose. Oil filter, obviously. Yeah, so I'll go and get a pen and paper. I can start producing a list. I started making the list. Carbs, airbox or twin K&N filters, dizzy cap, manifolds, mounts, clutch, flywheel, alternator and mount, starter, rear manifold thing. I think it's an additional water hose, can't remember. Water pump and maybe the pulley, although I think I have got one. Viscous, got loads of them. Throttle cable, need one of them. Throttle linkage, yeah, need that. Breathers, the spigot for the crank, valley gasket, because I will pull that now just to check the waterways to the head and wear on the cam, stuff like that. Front rear seals, sump seal, oil filter, oil plugs, manifold gaskets. So yeah, it's a good job it's Christmas Day, because Santa might be able to deliver some of this. This, for me to really make any sort of assessment, has to come off. I'll whip it off now. I'll get the worst of the crap off here, and then hopefully the inlet will come off without the cam covers coming off. And then once the inlet is lifted up and away, should be able to lift the valley cover gasket off without any of that crap dropping into the engine. I'm also going to remove the front, not the front cover itself, but the water pump, because then I can separate these hoses, get that out of the way. That isn't happy, it's probably corroded in there, and there will be, well, it's stupid doing this and not changing the water pump. So a bit more cleany wipey. I really wish I'd bought my impact gun thing, because getting these off by hand is quite laborious, but never mind. It's just all of these bolts. It's a lot easier that the carbs are off the manifold, that's for sure. But yeah, I'll just crack on because I'm going to run out of time otherwise. Just a pause for a second. Dizzy's off and some of the other bits are off. I'm doing all the manifold bolts. I've never noticed this before, and it makes me wonder whether the very early inlet manifolds are a different casting. But basically that one is quite tight to get in and out with a socket. It kind of, as you're unwinding it, jams on the side of the casting there. It has a flat cut through it. That's not a bodge cut. That looks like somebody's done it on a machine tool, which makes me think Rover did it. None of the others have that, so on reassembly that one had to go in the right place. But a small, rather, for me, interesting observation. I hadn't seen that before. The only other ones I've seen that have that are these, which are for the starter, which have crosses cut in them. Basically, when the manifold is on and all this is together, they're a right dick to get out. I usually swap them for cap head ones, because you can put a decent cap head socket on there, posting it through from the front. Don't want to talk too soon, but this bodes very well indeed. This is the water pump, and the bolts go, some of them go right the way through the water jacket into the block. And basically they can be a right twat and break off, particularly if when people have worked on them they haven't put any protective goo on them. If it's an original engine, they're usually okay. When I mean original engine, I mean one that hasn't had a replacement water pump. That, I'm pretty sure, is an original Rover British Leyland water pump. It should have a marking on it somewhere, but basically, yeah, that's an original one. I think hopefully we shouldn't have any sheared nuts and bolts, and that's good, because if that comes off easy, then the front cover should also come off easy, and then you know, happy days, a lot of the nightmares are over. Guess what? Spoke too soon. There are two here which really don't want to come out. I'm using just an extension, and I don't want to put progressive torque on them because I reckon they'll shear. What I want to do is shock it off an impact gun, which I don't have with me today. So I've loosened the hoses a bit more, and the plan is to take the inlet off and lift it that way with the water pump still on, and we'll just have to worry about that another time. Ooh, well, that came off nicely and not much has dropped down. And the other super cool thing is, check these waterways. They are perfect. There is no build up of crappy scale, you know, when coolant turns to that weird jelly stuff. So that's perfect. Same with the water pump pipes and the inlet itself. A nice twin plenum inlet manifold down there. But this is the underside. These are whistle clean, which is extremely good. Rad top hose, whistle clean. That pipe is usually completely rotten. That can sometimes fur up and rust out, but all of that's really good. So yeah, it's even got its original paint on. So as far as I'm concerned, that is an absolute result. Now let's do probably the part that will most give us an indication of what this engine is actually like, and that's get the inlet manifold or valley gasket out. So bolt at the front, bolt at the back, peel that up carefully, then we can have a good poke inside. Ta-da! This is very reassuring. There's some crud and crap build up, but it ain't a big deal. That can come out and be cleared up. It certainly is not as gunky as some. The cam, it just looks like a good old honest cam. There's nothing particularly wrong. Obviously I haven't turned it over yet, but you can normally see bluing or heating, chunks out of them, or just missing lobes at the front. Maybe I will try and turn it over and just see what it's like, but that looks pretty good to me. So the other observation, that's the gasket manifold. Manifold gasket. If you look how flat that is, what can sometimes happen is on the high mileage engines, when they're blowing a bit, the crank gets pressurized by combustion gases going past the piston rings, past the pistons and into the sump. The breathers block up with crap, pressurize the crank, and then this actually flexes and gets inverted and almost domed up, whereas that is perfect. So that again is another indication of a healthy-ish engine. So all looking good. I'll pull the cam covers off and I'll see if I can find something to turn the engine over, pull the plugs out, and then see what the cam noses look like. It's usually this one here and that one that wear the most, or possibly at the back, but they're the ones that don't get the best oil supply. Well, it ain't crystal clear, but given that this is an original engine that's never been opened up, it's better than most. There is some crud, but it's not bad in my opinion, my humble opinion, having opened up some absolute horror shows. Basically, if it was me, I would pull the rocker gear, pull the push rods, bin the cam, bin the followers, clean the hell out of everything as much as I could, but leave the heads on. Would I change them? I don't know. I don't know. One of those things, isn't it? I probably would, for the cost of it and the fact it's opened up this much, but it's up to SpitfireTrading what he does. And I'd fit new sprockets and chain, but again, up to him. But yeah, all looking, you know, pretty good. So that's nice. I haven't managed, well, I did find a crank pulley. I found this one, but it's got a bar welded across it. This is actually a Range Rover crank pulley, I think, which I was modifying for something else, or, you know, breaking up an engine. Well, what I can do, I suppose, is get a couple of bars, put them in there and wang it over, and see if I can just turn it to look at that cam. It's almost pointless, but I suggest the cam gets binned off anyway, but it'll give another indication of what the engine, what the rest of the block might be like inside. Okay, just turn this over. Don't know whether you can see that, but that is the #1 cam lobe, and it looks perfect. It's really strange. Makes me think that this car really had only done 50,000 miles. It was a Caribbean Blue Series 1 that was absolutely rotten, and I bought the engine and auto box for not a lot of money, and then pillaged a few bits for some of my other projects. I'm going to have to sign off there because I've got, well, I'm meant to be cooking sprouts, and I said I'd only be up here an hour and a half. I've been a little bit longer than that. But just some more detail stuff for Neil. Excuse me if you saw a picture of my daughter. I'm using my phone as my torch because I have bollocks, tripping over things now. But yeah, what else did I spot that he would need? Oh, drain plugs. So I would probably invest in a couple of them. They always get a bit manky. Dipstick, I think I might have robbed that for something else, but yeah, that might be an alternator bracket and alternator. No idea if any of them are any good, but yeah, that's the end of my video. Right, see you later, bye.